Why, Heidi ho, Heidi ho, Heidi ho. Good morning. So, today we're still reading Zohar. So, I do my Torah studies in Zohar first thing in the morning. Um, we're still in Pesach, Passover. And today would be the 6th day of Pesach, which is the 19th day of Nisan, the month of Nisan, the first month of the Holy Year. And we're reading from Bereshit, which is Genesis for some of you. And the section that we're reading is Noach, the section on Noah. And it's verse 131 that I wanted to read. And it's talking about a man who is righteous is himself a sacrifice given for atonement, because he sacrifices his own desire, overcoming his will, which would be the base wants. Instead of base needs, he's overcoming the base wants. The excess of sex, materialism, everything that's attached to this plane of existence. And it's not saying this plane of existence is bad, it's what we do with it. So, overcoming your base desires. But a man who is not righteous is not accepted as a sacrifice, because he is blemished. As it is written, for it shall not be acceptable for you. Vayikra 22:20. So the righteous alone atone for the world and are accepted as sacrifices in this world. Come and behold, and Elohim said to Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me. Bereshit 6:13. Namely, the other side. And it comes to receive permission to darken the faces of mankind. So that is why I will destroy them with the earth. So, when it speaks of things like the earth will swallow you, and the earth swallows up certain tribes, and when we send off a vibration comes back. So it's the ebb and flow of life. Think of quantum entanglement. Every particle is attached. Even though they seem to be separate, the spooky action at a distance. Even animals can sense the character of a man, the soul of a man, the content of character. Even an animal can sense that. So, animals can sense things that we send off, but so can the universe itself, our Ima Abba. Everything is mental, everything is mind, everything is first a state. And it does depend on what state you live in. And when you live in a state that another man created, so we are all supposed to be a nation of priests, priestly nation. That means ministers. So the courts are supposed to be courts of justice. For a court to be a court of justice, it has to be a minister in his ministerial capacity. Not a magistrate, not somebody dealing with UCC codes and United States codes, admiralty law, and all those things. So anyway, Pesach is removing leaven. So just because other men and mankind is doing something, it doesn't mean we have to do it. And we have to understand the laws. And as I've said before, 7 Hermetic principles. There's truth in those things. Those are immutable laws. So when it comes down to the law of gender, it takes a masculine gender and a feminine gender, all the way from our Ima Abba all the way down to an atom to create life itself. And then there is the child, who is consciousness. First a thought. For a child to be created, it has to first be a thought. Thought. That would be Hermes. So, removing leaven from our hearts, or haughtiness. But it also means removing leaven from our environment, which would be the haughtiness of others, and not being greedy for gain. And the system is a pyramid scheme the way it's set up right now, and it's the creditors. And that's why they get women to do certain things, because it's greedy for gain. And it's not to put women down, they're being beguiled by the Yetzirah, the evil inclination. So when a woman has control, she's controlling men. And you look at situations like divorce courts and things like that, you can see their courts of admiralty law and UCC codes and trust law. And it's all about profiting the Federal Reserve Bank and the royal lineage, because they make a profit off every dollar. Every time a dollar switches one man's hand to another, they're making a profit off that currency, which is profiting off the people of the land, sweat equity. But it comes down to them beguiling women to be greedy for gain, control. That's why they hand them gifts. And a lot of women, but not just women, men are greedy for gain as well. Because, you know, as long as I put a badge on my chest, I get all kind of perks. You can get free food, free coffee. I've been there. I know. Other people that have been in the military know. There are certain times that you go places and you get benefits for being a soldier, and people idolize you, and it does inflate the ego. It levens the ego. And then you get different people in different positions in the government that get perks. Kind of like congressmen and congresswomen are allowed to do insider trading, but it's against the law for everybody else. That's being greedy for gain. Another man can't tell you it's okay to be wicked and to be greedy for gain. No matter what they write on a piece of parchment, it's still against the law. But it's also treason. So the reason why it's treason is you are supposed to do things to benefit the people of the land and to better the lives of the people of the land, not yourself. You're not supposed to be greedy for gain. So just because a man wrote something on a piece of parchment and passed legislation, which is not a law, it's legislation, that's not a law, it's against the law, doesn't make it lawful. So that's the message for today. We need to learn to remove leaven from ourselves, but it also means other people who live in the Yetzirah, the evil inclination. We don't need them in our lives. We don't have to accept them in our environment. So that's the message for today. God bless. Much love.